You know her as a monster, a woman with snakes for hair, whose gaze turns men to stone. A creature so hideous that heroes were sent to slay her as a trophy. Long before the snakes, before the stone gaze, Medusa was a mortal woman, and by every ancient account, one of striking beauty. What happened next depends on which ancient source you trust. Some say Poseidon seduced her. Most, including the Roman poet Ovid, who gives us the fullest account, say he assaulted her inside Athena's own temple. Either way, the temple was defiled, and Athena's fury did not fall on Poseidon, a god she could not touch. It fell on Medusa. Athena transformed Medusa's beautiful hair into living hyacinths. Her skin turned to a sickly green-gray, and her eyes, once admired by every man who saw her, became a weapon. One look, and flesh turned to stone. Was this punishment or protection? Historians and mythologists still debate it. Some ancient interpretations frame the curse as Athena's twisted justice, punishing the victim instead of the god. Others argue it was armor, a woman who could never be violated again, because anyone who looked upon her would turn to stone before they could touch her. Medusa was banished to a remote island along with her two sisters, the Gorgons. She lived in isolation, not as a monster hunting victims, but as an outcast, hiding from a world that once celebrated her beauty and now feared her face. Enter Perseus, a demigod, son of Zeus, sent on a mission by a king who wanted him dead, believing the Gorgon's lair was a suicide mission. The gods, oddly enough, helped him. Athena gave him a polished shield to see Medusa's reflection instead of her eyes. Hermes gave him winged sandals. Hades lent him a helm of invisibility. Let that sink in for a moment. The very goddess who cursed Medusa personally equipped the man who would kill her. Perseus crept into her lair while she slept, unarmed, unaware, in her own home, and beheaded her, using the shield's reflection to avoid her gaze. Not in battle, not in self-defense, in her sleep. From her severed neck sprang Pegasus, the winged horse. Some versions say fathered by Poseidon, the very god who started this tragedy in the first place. Perseus took her head as a weapon and a trophy, using it to turn enemies to stone whenever convenient, before eventually gifting it to Athena, who mounted it on her shield. The goddess who cursed her wore her face as armor for the rest of mythology. For centuries, Medusa was painted as pure evil, a monster to be feared and destroyed. But in recent decades, historians, feminist scholars, and artists have reread her story differently. They see a victim punished twice, once by assault, once by the goddess who should have protected her. They see a woman turned into a weapon by the very act meant to shame her. This is why modern statues, like the one standing across from a New York courthouse, now depict Medusa holding Perseus's severed head instead. A symbol flipped, centuries later, back in her favor. So the next time someone calls Medusa a monster, ask them, who really committed the monstrous act in this story?